And you also have to remember that it's going to leave you gaping for the rest of the day. And when I say gaping, I mean, hi guys, welcome back to attempt number 2 of filming this video. Today we're going to be talking about whether or not size matters. I'm sure you guys out there probably have your own opinions on this topic, but we're going to be diving deep and coming to a conclusion at the end of this video. First, I want to give a huge shout out to my very much appreciated Patreon members. You guys are amazing. Welcome to all my new Patreons. And if you guys want to get to know me a little bit better, definitely check out my Patreon. I do weekly updates and there's tons of exclusive content over there. So I finally reached 10,000 subscribers, guys. How amazing is that? That is such a monumental event. Like, I've been trying to reach 10,000 subscribers forever. I mean, at least for the past 2 years. So I'm just so grateful to finally be here. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for choosing to subscribe and support me on this journey of life. Let's get right into this video. So when you find the right position, guys, and I know this personally just because I have just a little bit of experience in this subject matter. When you find the right position, it changes everything in the bedroom. It takes things from hot to life-changing. And when I say that, I mean it can make such a unpleasant and unenjoyable bedroom life become such a beautiful and just prospering and just transcendent, heavenly feeling that you are just always trying to chase. Maybe not always trying to chase, and you also have to go off of what you're working with. So if, for instance, if the top is very big, there's a few things that you have to know about that. You have to know what position you're not okay with. For example, for me, I don't really like to be on my back in any way because, especially when I'm with a guy who has a big eggplant, I can't really enjoy it in that position because it always seems like it's hitting my bladder. And it's the most uncomfortable feeling ever. It makes you feel like you have to go to the bathroom, and it's just not good. And it's not just one guy. This is a thing for me. So I know that I don't like to be in missionary, I think it is, on your back. I know I should know the position names, guys, but I don't, okay? I don't. I'm still learning them. I know doggy. I know missionary. And I know revert. You know, I know a couple of them, the ones that matter. Now we're going to get into, let me pay attention to my notes because I don't want to forget anything because this is a complex subject. The old saying is definitely true. And what that means, if you guys don't know, it means it's not about how big the guy's eggplant is. It's about how he works with you and how he, like I mentioned in one of my past videos, how the guy who I was with went off of my breathing, and that's how you know you're with a good top. So that's a characteristic of a good top. A characteristic of a bad top is a guy who just doesn't listen to you. You know, you say slow down, he doesn't slow down. He's overly aggressive. Overly aggressive can be fun, but there's a time and a place for that. So pay attention to the old saying, and don't just let a guy with a big eggplant talk up this big game and, because you're going to get disappointed at some point. So it's up to you to enjoy the experience. Don't leave that up to the top, or the bottom for that matter. There is a little bit of a curve to that saying because there are issues that can arise when the eggplant is too small or too thin. When I say too thin, like girth-wise, like just a little bit too thin. And that has happened before to me, multiple times actually. And sometimes those turn out to be really enjoyable experiences if you can work with it. But the majority of the time, they're kind of lackluster and not really memorable. So what I would say is never tell a guy that he is too small. That is one of the worst and heartless things that you could ever tell another guy. I mean, unless he did something to you for that matter. But don't mention anything about some person's anatomy to them that they can't change, because that's just wrong and that's like bullying and it's not okay. But what I would say is do your best, try to enjoy the moment, because typically guys who aren't packing aren't advertising it. So they're not the guys that are just, sending 10 pics of their eggplant to you. They're a little bit more, you have to kind of dig into them a little bit to discover who they really are, and then you'll find out the size of their eggplant. Don't just have one bad experience and then judge the entire relationship off of that. Because that's happened to me before too, and I do have a couple, regretful decisions where I've had a bad hookup and I really like the guy, like his personality, and I just quit talking to him because things just get weird after that, or maybe I make them weird after that. Just try to remember at the same time that there's so much more to human interaction than bedroom fun. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons of a big one and some of the pros and cons of a small one. First, we'll start with the pros. Things that I've noticed with big ones are they are able to hit your spot easier. And yes, men do have a G-spot in their prostate, and not everybody has experienced that feeling, but when you experience that feeling, you will know it, trust me, because it's unlike any other feeling. And I still remember the first time I felt mine. And, you kind of learn about yourself when that happens for the first time. You're like, oh, wow, I can do that. And it's like, leaves you with this feeling for the rest of the day. It's not uncomfortable or painful or anything. It's just like a euphoric feeling, like inner feeling. It feels like your chakras or something are charged up after that. I'm sure some of you guys out there know what I'm trying to explain, but I know after I've had a good moment with another guy with a big eggplant, I'm usually glowing for the rest of the day. I can't get a smile off my face. Like, I have energy. I want to go run 20 miles. So that's another pro about a big one. They have a magical aura about them, I guess. They're like magic wands, and they kind of put a spell on you in a way. So another pro is it can be extremely intense, and just the friction of it all and everything that goes into the moment, it can be intense, like the build up to everything, and then the process of getting there is the most intense part. I'm sure you guys can already tell what I prefer, but another pro with a big one is that there are endless possibilities for positions. So you can do anything. You can be standing up, you can be picked up, you can be, on the ground, you can be in a wheelbarrow position with your legs in his hands. All different possibilities with a big one. You can't say the same thing when they're too small. So now let's go into some of the cons of a big one. So if you're not accustomed to this feeling, or you've never been with a guy that's really big and thick, because thick is usually what gets you. It's not the length, it's the girth of it that gets you. And when it's very, very girthy, it takes a long time for it to even go in. Like, you have to breathe, you have to use lubrication. Sometimes. You have to make sure that you're enjoying it, and it's not like something that you're forcing yourself to do. And you also have to remember that it's going to leave you gaping for the rest of the day. And when I say gaping, I mean it's going to leave you down there, like, not like that, but like this for the rest of the day. It's going to slowly close, but you're going to feel that, like, for the rest of the day. You're probably going to be gassy. And let's move on to the pros of being with a guy that doesn't have such a big eggplant. So some of the pros of being with a guy that has a smaller one are that it's very comfortable. It's very, whatever. whatever is going on back there. I remember this one time. It was in this bedroom, actually, on my old bed. I had a king mattress, and I had two friends over. I was in the middle, my one friend was on this end, and then my other friend was on this end. We woke up the next morning, and my one friend was still sleeping, and my other friend was awake, and we ended up hooking up, but it was so quiet and silent. It was the most silent hookup ever, and it was comfortable, and it was like barely any movement at all. No lubrication, but I think I have a way of getting guys so excited that I don't have to use lubrication. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, we hooked up right here in my old bed, and my friend never knew. He slept right through it. So that's kind of a pro, I guess, with hooking up with a guy that has a smaller one, because he was not big at all. He was very thin too. And that moves us into our next pro, though. Things can escalate pretty quickly and easily with a smaller guy because you don't have to do so much heavy breathing and movement of yourself to make sure that you're comfortable and everything. We were on our side and it lasted like 5 minutes in here. So I would say that's another pro of being with a guy is that, things can escalate very quickly and easily and happen silently, if you will. Let's move on to some of the cons of being with a guy that has a smaller one. So one of the things that I've noticed with a guy that has a smaller one is that they tend to push a lot of air up into you. And it's not anything that they mean to do, but it can kind of cause a bottom issues later on, especially later that day. It's definitely happened to me where I've had lots of air pushed up into me, and it's like, when that happens, it's like in your guts, so you can't push it out. Like, you feel like you have to all day, but you just don't because you can't. Like, it's such an uncomfortable feeling. So, that's a kind of a big con for me about being with a guy that has a smaller one. I don't like that feeling of having all that air pushed up into me, and I think it's because just having the head a little bit bigger causes that somehow. I don't really experience that when I'm with a guy that has a bigger one. And guys, I'm not promiscuous at all, just so you know. Like, I hope I'm clear on that. I don't do casual hookups anymore. I do work in the adult film industry, though, and I get tested at least once a month, so I know my status. And I'm negative on everything. So I just wanted to share some of that information on whether or not size matters. To me, size matters. To you, it might not. To the next guy, it might not. But to me, it does. Only because I've been with lots and lots of guys and lots of different sizes. And I just know what I typically will enjoy, and I know what I can't handle and what I won't enjoy. But where there's a will, there's a way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought about this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.